So you want to start Konflikt 47 but don't know where to begin? Don't worry, I got you covered. Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. So there's been some chit, and dare I say chat, around the proverbial internet water cooler of this new upcoming game called Konflikt 47. Maybe you've seen a YouTube video recommended to you in your algorithm, maybe someone's been chatting about it in a local friend group, maybe you've seen a few Reddit posts here and there, but you've started to get a little bit curious about this whole thing, and maybe you've looked at a battle report here and there, and you think, you know what, this looks kind of cool, but how do I actually get into this game? Well, don't worry, dear viewer, because I am going to help you take your first baby steps into the fantastic, wonderful, insane, and dark world of Konflikt 47. I'm going to show you where you can find vital information to start wetting your whistle with Konflikt 47. Stuff about the factions, lore, army lists, all that good stuff. And also, we'll be taking a look at some box sets that you can begin with to make sure you start this hobby journey right. And so, without further ado, let us don our powered armor, absorb the power of the rift, and dive right into this thing. You there! Are you sick of languishing at home with nothing to do, wanking, eating expensive German biscuits, and just generally wasting your life? Well, I have got the solution for you. Warlord Games is now the proud sponsor of the Mordian Glory channel, and they have given me an affiliate link. By clicking on that link down in the description below, you'll be able to get yourself some fantastic World War II bolt action miniatures. These finely detailed models are the perfect way of finding yourself a hobby that will finally get you out of the masturbatorum.
I'll make that deal. How about you? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
Damn good deal.
So what are you waiting for? Click on the affiliate link down below, support the channel, and get off the sofa. So our first stop on this tour is going to be Konflikt47.com. This is a sister website to Warlord Games' main webpage, which is purely dedicated to Konflikt 47. And honestly, this is the best place to start looking for information about this game. It's basically been set up and tailor-made to create a space for beginners to get the information they need. It starts off with a brief overview of what is Konflikt 47, talking about how it's World War II, but the war is still going on 2 years after it ended in our timeline, and how there's these crazy rifts between worlds and how these are being used to create new technologies. It gives you a little bit of an idea of what to expect from the gameplay. It is fast-paced, and Konflikt 47 is a fast-paced game, and how it's not just World War II, but there are heroes, there are villains, and there is only one goal, which is survival at all costs. It's just a quick little vibe check of what you can expect from this game. After that, it actually gets down into the basic fundamentals of what is miniature wargaming. I actually really appreciate this section. If you're a seasoned wargamer, maybe you're coming over from Warhammer 40k, this might look very basic, but you've got to think that not everyone is going to start their hobby journey with another wargame. They might know they want to do something about miniature wargaming, but they don't really know what to expect. Do the models come painted like they are in the box or not? All that kind of stuff. Those first baby steps when you're first taking this world into tabletop miniature hobbying. And so this is a little thing about how, hey, look, you've got to build the models, you've got to paint them, and then once you've got them all built and painted, you can start playing with them. There is a link in this bit to the Konflikt 47 rulebook, which is useful if you just want to see what the rules are like, if you want to pick them up. But I will say this, the Konflikt 47 rulebook, it's 40 quid. And honestly, it is worth it, especially the hardback version. It is beautiful. But I'm going to show you how you can get this rulebook and a load of minis for a really good deal. So if you just want to try the rules, here you go. But if you know you're going to be getting some miniatures as well, hang on, stay tuned, and I'll show you how you can do that in an efficient way. Next up, we've got a quick lore summary for each of the main factions in this game. The British Commonwealth, the Empire of Japan, the Axis, the Soviet bloc, and the United States. To be clear, This isn't the only lore available for these factions. You'll find more inside the army list themselves and also in the main rulebook. The idea of these lore sections is just to wet the whistle, get the juices flowing, to pique your curiosity, and to give you an idea of how each faction is going to feel on the tabletop. For example, the British Commonwealth have made the first advances in artificial intelligence, and they now have access to robotic soldiers, something no other faction has access to in this game. The Empire of Japan has developed phase technology, allowing them to phase through solid matter and walls and teleport around the battlefield. They are very fast and fragile, but they will hit you from all sorts of unexpected areas. The Axis have developed heavier and heavier power armored troops, as well as delving into horrific genetic modification and rail cannon technology. The Soviets are all about sonic waves. Fuzroda! They will bombard their enemy with a unique kind of technology which other factions haven't really lent into. And the United States are all about shock and awe, speed, violence, and momentum. But also, there's still some of that classic American DNA in here. A 50 cal is still a 50 cal, no matter how monstrous the enemy is. Quick side note, if you're a Warhammer 40k player, an easy way to understand these factions is to compare them to how some 40k factions play as well. Whilst there are no direct parallels, there are some interesting commonalities to be aware of which may help you pick which faction is right for you. The British Commonwealth are kind of like the Space Marines of this setting. They've got fast vehicles and they also tend to be pretty accurate thanks to their computational systems, allowing them to move and shoot without penalty, a significant advantage over most other nations. On top of this, thanks to their automated infantry, they don't really feel fear, and in fact some of these robot guys are so tough they're immune to small arms fire. Imagine having Terminators that couldn't be damaged by lasguns because they're just so durable. That's what the British Commonwealth is like. Tough, but elite. Next up, we've got the Empire of Japan. It's easy to look at these guys and think, Tau. And you wouldn't be completely wrong with that. They do have that maneuverability of the Tau, and they have some really good firepower. But I kind of like to think of these guys as a combination of the Tau and Dark Elder. You see, the Empire of Japan is not the gunline faction of this setting. They are probably the premier melee faction of this setting. All of their guys are absolutely fanatical, and even though they don't have access to any crazy genetic monstrosities like the Axis does, the Empire of Japan puts people in power armor, gives them power swords, and tells them to banzai charge into combat. So they've got the firepower of the Tau, yet the close combat melee prowess of something like Dark Eldar Witches. They're very fast, but they are quite fragile, but they hit like a freight train. The Axis are an easy one to understand. They are the chaos of this setting. But I don't just mean Chaos Space Marines, I mean all of the different Chaos factions. Not only do they have plenty of power armor and Terminator armor equivalent, but they've also got technology which reminds me of the Dark Mechanicus. Some really weird and wacky stuff. And then you've got all of the mutants. These guys have gone further than anyone else in genetic manipulation and mutations, and it has made some real nightmare fuel. Whether you want a traitor Space Marine style force, Dark Mechanicus style army, or a just parade of circus nightmare fuel, the Axis have got you covered. The Soviets are the orcs of this setting. In the lore of Konflikt 47, the Soviets are the only nation not to have direct access to a rift. Rifts are kind of like, I guess, like warp portals a little bit. The energy that comes out of them is what's being harnessed and is being used to develop some of the crazy technology that the other nations are getting access to. But the Soviets don't have that. So what they have to do is scavenge and loot things from the battlefield and then reverse engineer it and make it work for them. Because of this, a lot of their technology is much more crude than that of the other nations, but it is no less effective. They tend to be quite close combat orientated as well, but unlike the Japanese, who are fast and fragile, the Soviets tend to be slow and tough, but when they get to you, they're going to beat you in combat. And then we have the United States. These guys are like the Imperial Guard of the setting. They're all about the normal humans. They don't have thicker and bigger power armor. They don't have crazy mutants. They've just got normal blokes with guns doing what they can to hold back the horrors of the night. With a prayer on their lips and a 50 cal in hand, the United States is going to win this war. But moving on from the lore and the fluff, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get into the practicalities of starting Konflikt 47. The next part of the Konflikt 47 website gives you a rundown of the starter set and some links on where you can buy it. I'm going to circle back round to this when we look at box sets later on in this episode. Instead, what I want to look at is the last part of the K47 website, which covers rules and helpful guides. So under the army list section, you will find basically the 5 codexes, army books for each nation. These aren't indexes, these aren't just little starter things to get you going. These are the full codexes. And Warlord Games has stated and committed to the army rules being freely available going forward for this game. This isn't like where they're going to start off free and they're going to paywall them later. The army rules, the codexes for this game are free and you can find them all here. Click on each one of these buttons and it will take you to each army list lore page, army rules, and then straight into the units. And you can do that for every single one of these nations. If you want to actually start building army lists for this game, you can go to konflikt47.com, go to the army list section, and you've got everything you need. They've also got the quick reference guide as well. This isn't the full core rules, but it does give you an idea of how a lot of the mechanics are going to work. And if you need a quick reference guide for when you're in game, this could be really helpful with all of the weapons listed in these charts, for example. And then we've got the field manual. This is kind of like a introductory rulebook, as it were. It's not going to have the nitty-gritty rules, but it's going to give you a bit more information about the game, and also it'll start helping you through some beginner scenarios as well, and how to build the models and all that kind of good stuff. So it even gives you some starter missions. For example, mission 1, first contact. This is what you're going to need to build, recommended loadouts. I've looked through these, by the way. These loadouts are all good. They're not telling you to build the models in a wrong way or anything like that. If you bought your first models and followed these build guides and these missions, you would end up with good models, not ones that are later going to end up in the bottom of the army case. So this is a great place to start learning about Konflikt 47, but you aren't going to find all of the core rules here. If you want the core rules, you are going to need to get the core rule book. Warlord Games' philosophy with this is they want to sell you the models, they want to sell you the core rules, but they don't want to be selling you the army list and telling you how to play. So that's why the army rules are free, but the core rules are paid for. So where do we get our core rules from? Well, from the Warlord Games web store, of course. This website isn't just for Konflikt 47. This is where you can find information about all of the game systems that Warlord Games makes and buy models for all of those games. Of course, for us today, we're interested in Konflikt 47, so we're going to go over to the Konflikt 47 section of the website. And you can see that there's a lot of different products available here, from infantry, dice bags, rift dice, mechs, all of that good stuff. Obviously, this can be a bit overwhelming, so what I've done is I've compiled a list of helpful box sets that I think you should start with if you're interested in this game. The first one is the Konflikt 47 Introductory Set. Now, this comes with the field manual. Now, that's the same field manual we saw a digital version of before, so it doesn't come with the full rulebook, but it does come with enough information to let you know if you're going to like this game. If you want to try Konflikt 47 for the minimum buy-in, the introductory set is a great way of doing that. Not only is it going to come with a decent amount of models, it's also going to come with all of the gaming accoutrement that you need as well. It's going to come with Rift dice, Order dice, D6 dice. It's going to come with a goddamn paper ruler. It's going to come with little pin markers and everything. It's going to guide you through how to build your models, how to play your first scenario. It's going to give you a bit of terrain. This is a really, really good place to start if you just want to dip your toe in. But if you're pretty sure that you are going to be getting into this game and you want a good place to start, I recommend the Konflikt 47 starter set. This is the one we said I'd circle back round to earlier. This starter set is phenomenal value. Not only is it going to come with 2 decently sized beginner forces for the Axis and for the Americans, but it also comes with a full copy of the rulebook. This is the full proper rulebook, no field guide, no introductory thing. This is the full thing, and it's going to be a small paperback version of the rulebook, but it contains all of the same information as that big hardback one that we saw earlier. This is why I said, look, you can buy the separate rulebook, but it's going to be 40 quid. And really, you're just buying it because it's a nice big sort of hardback one. But if you want a handy, small travel paper copy that's going to be a bit easier just to slip in the gaming backpack, this rulebook is fantastic. On top of this, it also comes with all of the Order dice and the Rift dice, and it comes with a dice bag and just everything that you could possibly want to get started. If you're pretty certain you're going to be getting into this game, I do recommend the starter set, especially if you're going to be getting into this with a friend. Splitting this starter set is a great foundation if one person wants to go Axis and one person wants to go US. I mean, if you split this with a mate, you are both going to be spending less than £50 to get started with this game. But if you do start with the Konflikt 47 starter set and you want to expand on your US or your Axis armies, what's the best way of doing that? Well, honestly, going with the starter armies. So it's important to understand the difference between a starter set and a starter army. A starter army basically just comes with the models, and it's for one faction. Starter sets come with models, but also come with the rules. So if you're someone that's not bothered about the rules and you just want more models and you're just interested in one faction, best bang for buck is to start looking at the starter armies. For example, you've got the United States starter army here. This box is going to come with 2 linebacker mechs and a Tesla Stuart and 12 Firefly infantry and a unique Firefly officer. Couple of things to be aware of if you are a Warhammer 40k player. This officer here, you don't need him. It's not like in 40k where you have to have like the Primaris Lieutenant model or you have to have like the Space Marine Captain model. He's just like a Brucey bonus, like he's a unique sculpt, but all of Warlord Games' plastic infantry kits come with the parts that you need to make officer models. So this guy is cool because he's a unique model. He's in a different pose to what you can build from the plastic kits. But if you were to just buy like a separate box of Fireflies, for example, you could easily build officers and specialists from that box. The big question that a lot of people are going to have, though, of course, is how good a deal are these starter sets? Am I getting a lot of points here, or is this just like one step of many that I need to take to eventually get to a full-sized army? Well, good news! These starter armies are incredible bang for buck. I'm not kidding you. This contains about 1,000 points of models for the Americans. And this game is played at 1,500 points. You could buy a United States starter army here and have half of a Konflikt 47 starter set with the US models, and you would have a full, probably more than a full 1,500 point American army. Literally, split a starter set, get a starter army, you're good to go. And when I say good to go, I really mean it, because this also comes with Rift dice and Order dice. There's no hidden costs. If you bought, for your Americans, a starter army and split the Konflikt 47 starter set, you would have rules, models, all the gaming accoutrement you could need to just play. Nothing hidden. Your army rules are free online. Literally nothing hidden. It's a similar story for the Axis as well. If you split the Konflikt 47 starter set, or you manage to buy sort of half of it as like from like eBay or somewhere secondhand, for example, the next port of call you really want to go for is the Konflikt 47 Axis starter army. Not only is it going to come with a heavier mech, but it's also going to come with more style trooping, and you'll start dipping your toes into the cosmic horror side. I will say one thing though. The Axis part of this plus the Axis starter army comes to about 1250 points. So you would need one extra box if you wanted to play at 1500 points. But when I say one extra box, I'm talking like if you bought some extra style trooping, one box of infantry, just one, literally one extra box of anything, you would be covered. So for your Konflikt 47 Axis force, you're going to want to start with the starter set and then go for the starter army and then maybe one of the box. Another good way of doing it would be to actually split an introductory set, then a starter set, then an Axis starter army, because those extra 6 style trooping will absolutely get you up to 1500 points. But what if you're not interested in the Axis or the US? Well, every other nation has its own starter army, and some of these are just unbelievably good deals. For example, the British Commonwealth starter army comes with about 1,100 points worth of models, and not only that, but it's really well put together to give you an idea of how the British are going to feel to play. You get the Mark 1 robots and the Mark 2 robots. When these guys work together, it's amazing. They start like buffing each other. It's fantastic. And then you also get access to the unique Percival mech and the Humber armored car. Both of these can have those computational systems that I mentioned earlier, which allow them to move and shoot without penalty. This is a really good start set because it just gets you that feel of the British. Then we've got the Empire of Japan starter army. This one is less points. It comes to about 800 to 900 points worth of models, but every single model that you get in here is absolute killer, no filler. The new Scorpion mechs are fantastic. The compression cannon they come with can deal with anti-tank, and they're really good at mashing people up in melee as well. The tank with the heavy compression cannon gives you even more firepower. And then the Ghost Warriors and the Assault Frame Infantry, honestly, if you just bought 2 of these things, you would have, in my opinion, a very meta Army of Japan. And that would be about 1,600 points, 1,700 points, and you would have everything that you would need. In some ways, the Army of Japan starter army looks bad because of the lower points values, but in my mind, it's actually one of my favorite. And that's not just cope. The reason I like it is because it's just really easy. Buy 2 of these, done. And it's a similar thing with the Soviets as well. These guys come with about 800 to 900 points worth of stuff, but everything in here is just so useful in game. No filler, all killer. If you bought 2 of these things and rocked up with 12 of these Ursa's infantry, and by the way, you can have these as like one big squad, or you can have them in like 2 smaller squads of 3. It's up to you how you want to run them. But if you bought 2 of these things and rocked up with 12 Ursa's infantry, that would be so potent, so damn powerful. And then you've got the shock troopers down here, which are actually really fast and really feisty. So everything in here is good. You've got all of these melee troops, and then you've got the fire support from the tanks, just fantastic. And you've got the platoon commander as well, which is great. And you can never go wrong with having more platoon commanders. And it's important to point out, with all of these starter sets, they also come with the order dice and the rift dice that you would need. So again, there's no hidden cost here. All of your gaming accoutrement and models are going to be here. The only thing that you would be missing out on is the rulebook, but there are these gamer bundles for each nation as well, which come with not only the rulebook, the starter, but also you get a dice bag, and you get a little discount from buying these things separately as well. It's easy to discount something like the dice bag, but if you're buying something like the Commonwealth or the Soviets or the Japanese, actually getting that dice bag is quite helpful because you're not going to get it like you would do in the starter sets. So having that dice bag is actually something you're going to want. Every single one of these box sets, whether it's the Gamer Bundle or the Starter Armies, are exactly where you want to be beginning your Konflikt 47 journey for the faction that you have chosen to go with. However, you don't just need Konflikt 47 models to play Konflikt 47. You can actually, if you want to, draw upon the fantastic and extensive and very affordable range of miniatures from Bolt Action. And there are loads of reasons why you might want to do this. Firstly, you can create incredibly thematic forces using a combination of Bolt Action and Konflikt 47 units. There's also the idea of maybe you want to see how a Bolt Action army would do against a Konflikt 47 army. For example, I love the Panzer III. It's probably my favorite German tank in Bolt Action, but it doesn't have any rules in Konflikt 47. So what I can do is go over to Bolt Action and use its rules in my Konflikt 47 game. And the way you do that is described in each Konflikt 47's factions army list. So if you go over to konflikt47.com, you go to the army list, you click on any of these, you'll find this section near the beginning, which covers how to incorporate Bolt Action units. And essentially what it says, as long as there's no issues between the two players, you can use everything from, for example, with the Axis, from the Bolt Action Armies of Germany 3rd edition book in Konflikt 47. There's a recommendation, but not a requirement, a recommendation that you use late war units because Konflikt 47 is taking place in 1947, so late war units are much more likely to be there rather than like super early war units, but you can do what you want. And I think it's important to understand that it is just a recommendation because there's loads of narrative justification that you could come up with for explaining why some kind of early war unit would be fighting this late in World War II. Is it even World War II anymore, or is it like Rift War 1? But anyway, you could have it where you're collecting a reserve army, or maybe the Axis have recently taken an absolute smashing and they're having to pull out every bit of equipment that they can. A Panzer I really shouldn't be on the battlefields of Konflikt 47, but when you're absolutely desperate, you're going to push anything you can get your hands on into combat. One thing that is important to understand, though, is any Bolt Action units used in Konflikt 47 don't get to use the Bolt Action army rules or the Konflikt 47 army rules unless there is a stated exception. So for example, with the Germans, you don't, if I bring my Panzer III, I don't get to use any of my Bolt Action Germany army special rules, and I don't get to use any of my Konflikt 47 army special rules except for Buzzsaw, because that is described here. Now, when you read that for the first time, your natural inclination is going to be, oh, that's rubbish. Trust me, the actual practicalities of it are so phenomenally minimal that actually it makes no difference. Let me explain. Here we have the army special rules for Germany in Bolt Action. We get Hitler's Buzzsaw, Blitzkrieg, Initiative Training, and Panzer Ace. Now, if we use my Panzer III example from earlier, my Panzer III would only benefit from the Hitler's Buzzsaw special rule in Bolt Action. It wouldn't benefit from Blitzkrieg because it's not an officer. It wouldn't benefit from Initiative Training because it's not a squad leader. It's not got an NCO. And it wouldn't actually benefit from Panzer Ace because the Panzer III isn't eligible to be a Panzer Ace in Bolt Action version 3. And Panzer Ace, to be fair, only affects one vehicle from a specific list of potential vehicles in your army. So it's not like some sweeping rule, just to be clear. So my Panzer III only benefits from Buzzsaw and Bolt Action. Oh look, I benefit from Buzzsaw in Konflikt 47. Oh look, it turns out that actually the army rules aren't limiting me whatsoever. I'm getting exactly the same benefits. And if you go through the actual practicalities for loads and loads of different units, in the vast majority of them, there is no problem, no issue with Bolt Action units coming over, and you're not actually losing out on anything. I'm sure there'll be some niche examples. I'm sure there'll be some exceptions that prove the rule. But by and large, if you want to bring in a unit from Bolt Action into Konflikt 47, you're going to be able to do so, and you're probably not going to feel this restriction in any way, shape, or form. Just a little bit more context for this. My experience with this is most of the time people want to bring tanks over from bolt action into Konflikt 47. That's really where the excitement is, and the best way I think of using this rule. But if you're someone that wants to bring infantry over, any special rules on that infantry unit entry would still count. It's just the army rules you're not getting. So that's the first thing to say. And the other thing to mention is that if you do want to bring infantry over, it is definitely worth considering before you look at bolt action infantry, the Konflikt 47 basic infantry unit entry. For example, with the Axis, and every Konflikt 47 nation has an equivalent to this, you get the Volksgrenadier squad. This is really a catch-all infantry unit. You can use this unit entry here to replicate 90%, 95% plus of the different kinds of infantry that you get access to in bolt action. So before you start thinking, oh, well, I want to use a bolt action US rifle squad, just look at the Konflikt 47 rule first, and I guarantee you'll probably find what you're looking for there. So I guess the big question is, if you're a beginner and if you're conflict curious, why am I talking about bolt action, and why would I want to bring some of these units over? Well, firstly, there's a lot of variety in bolt action. It's a really extensive catalogue. The game's been around for over a decade at this point, so there's lots of cool models you might want to enjoy. Second thing is that bolt action starter armies are an unbelievably good deal. Just phenomenally good deal. So this is the US Army Winter Starter Army, for example. It comes in at £104, which is actually slightly less than Konflikt 47 Starter Army, and it comes with everything that you see here. You get a Sherman EZ-8, you get a Hellcat, you get about, I think, 36 plastic infantry, artillery piece, heavy weapon teams. You get, I think, you get a mortar and machine guns. You get the full list is down here. I mean, it's an absolutely incredible list of models that you get, and it's for just a staggering price point. For less than the price of a Games Workshop Combat Patrol, you get all of this. And what does all of this translate to on the tabletop? Well, in bolt action terms, which basically means Konflikt 47 terms, this translates to 1,250 points minimum. Every single bolt action starter army guarantees you a full army. You see, bolt action is played at 1,250 points. So if you bought one of these things, not only would it set you up for having a full bolt action army, the only thing you need to do after that is find something to make up the extra 250 points to get to 1,500 points for Konflikt 47 and the rulebook. I mean, you could literally, using the US, for example, you could go over to the you could buy that starter army for the winter US, go over to the United States, pick up the Firefly Airborne Infantry Squad and a rulebook, and you would be not only 100% bolt action ready, you'd be 100% Konflikt 47 ready. If you bought all of that new in box from Warlord Games, and bear in mind you can get these things for discounts from third-party retailers like Wayland Games, but let's just say you're buying it from Warlord Games for now, you would spend £37 on the Fireflies, you'd spend 40 quid on the rulebook, unless you split a starter set with a mate, and so that comes to £77 plus £104 the starter set, £181. For significantly less than 2 GW Combat Patrols, you would have everything that you wanted to be bolt action ready and Konflikt 47 ready. If you split a Konflikt 47 starter set, so less than 50 quid, and then bought a bolt action starter set for the US, you would have spent about £150 and you'd be fully conflict ready and fully bolt action ready. So the reason I mention the whole bolt action angle is that you can absolutely get a double doozy. If you're looking for an army which is not fully rifted up, if you're looking for an army which is maybe representing like early Rift War, or you just want one that's just got more grounded units, maybe you want that Imperial Guard feel, you want basic infantry and tanks trying to take on the horrors of the Rift, then this is a great angle to consider, and it's something that works for every single nation. Of course, if you are a beginner, you are going to be thinking, okay, but how are these bolt action units going to hold up in Konflikt 47? It's actually remarkably balanced. So Konflikt 47 units tend to be much more expensive, but much more capable. If you've got a unit in like level 2 power armor, it's going to be really hard to kill. But you're also going to be spending 30 to 40 points per man. You're buying Terminators, right? If you buy a sort of standard bolt action infantryman just with a rifle, Garand, Mosnagant, Lee Enfield, whatever it may be, it costs 10 points. So pure Konflikt 47 armies tend to be very elite and very capable, but armies that start leaning partially or really heavily into bolt action units can get a much bigger sized army. That's kind of the route you want to go down if you're considering going horde mode. To put this into practical terms, most 1500 point pure Konflikt 47 armies that I have been playing around with have had 7 or 8 order dice. If you brought 1250 points of bolt action, so we're not even looking at the conflict stuff yet, but 1250 points of bolt action, you're looking at 15, 16 order dice. At 1500 points, if you really lent into bolt action stuff, you could easily get up to 18 order dice, and you'd probably have a 2-to-1 advantage over a pure K47 force. Now, yeah, your guys are going to die by the bucket load. You're trying to take on things beyond your ken with balls and bayonets, but you're going to have a lot of guys. So that's why it's worth considering both these angles. Do you want to go down the pure Konflikt 47 route, be a more elite army, or do you want to go down bulking out or building around bolt action stuff and having much more of a horde army? Both playstyles totally valid, and both playstyles can absolutely work together in the game of Konflikt 47. So we've looked at Konflikt47.com. We've got an idea for the factions and where we can find our rules. We've gone over to Warlord Games' main website and we've started looking at what box sets and stuff we want to pick up. But how do we actually build our armies? Well, you could of course do it the old-fashioned way with pen and paper. Whilst the Konflikt 47 rules are considered live documents, Warlord Games has said they really don't want to be adjusting these things too frequently, just basically reining anything in that seems very overpowered. So you don't need to worry too much about a 40k like situation where you finally build an army up and then it's suddenly completely nerfed or completely changed. That's very unlikely to happen here. So pen and paper is totally valid. But if you want an army builder, then I highly recommend you check out the Warlord Games Army Builder app. If you literally type that into Google, it will come up with it. Full disclosure, this is a paid army builder, but it costs $1.99 a month and you get a 7-day free trial. And that free trial does not auto-renew if you forget it. So you can sign up, play around for a few days, and then if you forget about it, you're not going to have this payment that's coming out every month and you're worrying about it. 7-day free trial. If you don't like it, leave it. It won't auto-renew. Just really, really cool. If you do like it, you can actually buy a full year subscription in one go. If you do, I think it comes to 20 quid, and Warlord Games then gives you a £10 voucher to spend at their web store. So actually, it only costs about £10 a year if you go for that yearly subscription. Inside here, you find everything. There's no like buy the app, then buy the codex or anything like that. In here, you will find everything that you need to build not only bolt action army list, but also Konflikt 47 army list and a couple of other games as well. Not only is it going to have a list builder, but it's also going to have a full library of units available too. And if we look at how you actually build one of these armies, it's so straightforward. So we just click on create new company. We pick the nation we want to go for. Let's mix things up a little bit and go for British Commonwealth. We give it a name, British Commonwealth version 2. I think I've got a version 1 already, so we'll go version 2. Off we go, and we're into the builder. it gives us our first mandatory platoon, because you have to take an assault platoon. So let's have a look at this. Platoon 1 does not meet all the requirements. It highlights what we need to take. Okay, we need to be taking these required things. So let's go for a platoon commander in Galahad Heavy Armor. Click on him. He's added in. If we want to start messing around and editing him, we've got this little button here. Click on that and we can start deciding if we want to make him veteran or give him a Tesla rifle or anything. So we'll go for that, and then that's done. And then we just go back, and then we need to add in some other mandatory units. So let's go for a Mark 1 automated infantry squad and a Mark 2 automated infantry squad. And again, we can just start editing those if we want. If we want to know what each one of their special rules does as well, like computational systems, click on that and it tells us what they do. We can find out literally everything that we need. And once you've built your first platoon, each army is made up of a series of platoons. So we've got our assault platoon now, and we've given the mandatory units there that we need. We can now start adding more platoons. Okay, so let's add a platoon, and let's go for, an armored walker platoon. Yeah, that's great. And then again, it tells us what our required units are. We need to be taking one walker. So let's select a Percival medium walker. And is there anything we want to edit about this? Nah, I think we're pretty happy. Actually, this one doesn't have any options, to be fair. So we're happy with that. Do we want to see what some of these rules mean? Reinforced front armor. Sure, great, nice. Boom, done. And that's how it's as simple as that. Add platoons, pick the units, and it'll start telling you what your total points cost are, what your order cost is, and then you can start exporting it as well. And you can export it, save as PDF, and then when you do that, you can open it up, and boom, here's your list, and this is the format it will export it in. It'll give you all the different weapon profiles underneath it as well. Kind of creates like a data sheet, like from Warhammer 40k. Tells you how many rift dice, what special weapons are going to be affecting you, all that kind of stuff. And there is no limit on the number of army lists that you can have. As you can see here, I've been playing around with Axis, British, Japan, Soviets, and US. No issues whatsoever. And, I can add these, delete these, no issue in any way, shape, or form. So you're not limited to how many lists you can build. You're not limited to having to buy the army book and then unlock that in the app. Nothing like that. $1.99 a month, or basically a tenner a year if you go for the full subscription, take the voucher into account, and you get every army builder, every army list that you need right here in one place. And of course, it's totally optional. It's totally optional. You can just pen and paper it, and your list won't be going out of date every 5 seconds if you do that. But you know what? I think that just about covers everything. We've looked at where you can get your initial information. We've looked at where you can start buying models. We've looked at what are some good kits. We've even approached this from the bolt action angle and how you can incorporate those units. And we've got into how you can start building your army lists as well. So hopefully, now that you've watched this video, you'll have a good idea of how to start your Konflikt 47 hobby journey. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Redfield, 32, Jurgens, Miasma, Try Again, Bragg, R.J., Scorpion, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Nicholas Walsh, John Stubbs, Guardian, Varney, Sword, Fish Trombone, Pickalock the Forged. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.